Hi everyone, welcome to week 4 of Nursing 404. It's hard to believe that we're almost halfway through this course already. Hopefully all of you are enjoying this course, and I read through your discussion boards how the exercises that you're doing either to answer the discussion board questions or the exercises that you're doing as assignments are really helping you increase your self-awareness and your way to cultural competency. So I'm really glad to hear to read comments like that, because that way I know that this course is benefiting you in that capacity. I wanted to just take a couple of minutes to go over some housekeeping rules regarding the course. In the very beginning, in week 1, I'm a little bit more lenient when it comes to grading in the discussion board. And the reason for that is because for some of you, this might be your first online class. So it takes a little time to get accustomed to how things are run in an online discussion board. By weeks 2 and 3, though, I start to kind of incorporate the expected rubrics on grading discussion boards. So I wanted to bring up the rubric that we use here at McKendree when we are grading discussion boards. So when you receive your grade, I'm in the student view right now, so this is what would be my grade book. When you click on the view rubric, you'll notice novice, competent, and proficient. You'll see initial posting, response posting, spelling, and grammar. So these are the things that I've outlined in the discussion board guidelines to creating your discussion board post, your response post, as well as your initial post. So the way that discussion boards are graded, if you look at the initial posting, you get all of your points if your post was at least 200 words, posted by the due date, and you answered the discussion board question thoroughly, and then you used an appropriate scholarly peer-reviewed article within the last 5 years. Then you received partial credit if you fell into the competent area of you did post, but perhaps it wasn't very complete. Maybe you only posted 170 words instead of 200 words. And maybe your reference that you used was not from a peer-reviewed journal. A novice post, which would give you 0 points, is if you didn't post in time, or if you didn't use a reference to support your initial post. So I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. I apologize that I didn't do this way back when, but I did in my video to you about the course what the expectations were. So if you were meeting those expectations, you were getting all the points. If you weren't meeting those expectations, then there would be a slight point decrease. Like I said, the first week, I'm really lenient about that because I want you to become familiar with the course. I apologize, I'm trying to get over a cold right now. But the following weeks, that grading rubric will be used. And like I said, we use that in a lot of our courses here at McKendree, so just become familiar with that grading rubric. Okay, so going back to what we're doing for Module 4, and then I'll just say a couple of things about our past module that we covered. We're talking about spirituality and disabilities for this module. You're going to be reading chapters 4 and 5, review the PowerPoints and videos. You will have a case study that you are completing. Excuse me, and that can be found on pages 87 through 89 of your text. And then a discussion board. So those are the things that you're going to be doing for this week. What I wanted to hit on a little bit about Module 3, we'll just go back there and bring up poverty. All of you did a great job with identifying where you are in terms of the socioeconomic level. A couple of you in your discussion boards brought out the fact that a lot of times people's health literacy, their health outcomes, their compliance with recommended using either their medicines or the lifestyle changes a lot of that really does pivot around their the social determinants of health. And social determinants of health, really, there's 6 levels, and there are 6 areas, and those areas really do determine where a person is going to be able to, or how a person is going to be able to successfully manage their health. So Healthy People 2020 really focuses on those social determinants of health. And when you get into Nursing 451, which is population health, we really hit hard on those social determinants. But if you wanted to take a moment and just kind of see what those are, you can always just look up Healthy People 2020, and you will see those factors that really contribute to a person's health, behavior, lifestyle, and their outcomes. So one thing that I wanted to mention is that health literacy doesn't always equate to socioeconomic status. And what I mean by that, I'll give you an example. I cared for a patient who was a CEO of a major company, or he still is actually, of a major company. So, and it's a very profitable company in the St. Louis area, and he probably fell into the wealthy class. He presented with severe abdominal pain and was admitted to the hospital. And as I was working him up, I started just covering what happened that led up to his hospital admission. So a few days prior to his admission, he was having some gas and some bloating issues. And so he went to his pharmacy and he bought a box of Imodium. So he started taking the Imodium, and he was taking it every 2 hours. He failed to read the label about the safety and efficacy of Imodium. He took it for several days, and he ended up obstructed. So this is just one example that even though you have a high wealth, or you're in the upper socioeconomic class, that doesn't always equate to a high health literacy. So, and I don't, his rationale was, well, the gas and bloating never got better, so I kept taking the medicine, and then I started getting constipated, but I kept taking the medicine because I thought maybe, I needed to finish all the medicine. So that's just one example. And I'm sure that many of you have run into similar situations when people try to manage their own care, and then it actually makes it much worse. So my point to this, though, is that when you're providing patient education, don't just assume, and I don't think any of you would do this, don't just assume that if they're from a high socioeconomic status that they have a high health literacy. We really have to teach them and bring it down to a very low level of education to make sure that everybody understands what the education we're providing them at discharge. And like I said, most of all of you in your discussion board posts had commented that you would certainly take that into consideration, and that you would assess a person's health literacy before beginning their education. So I think that pretty much wraps everything up that I wanted to share with you for this week. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me. Thank you.